my friends, cousins, and other people. A lot of what happened when I interacted with people was, what mattered was how much electronic usage I had that day. I used to interact like kids like this, and now kids interact more like this because of the digital age coming and so many electronics being introduced to daily lives. Since I didn't have much access to them, I interacted more like that. So where does this come from? Parents who have technology integrated into their lives and use it all the time set an example for their kids who start to use technology more as well. When the parents are obsessed, the children will get obsessed too. Electronics that are gifted to children, a lot of electronics are gifted to children instead of them being earned, and that can affect kids who really want, How has the usage changed? So, of course, with electronics being so much more popular nowadays, it is going to change a lot, but this is used by children by age 2. So interactions between kids who don't play video games, a study by a doctor at Iowa State University, he looked at the interactions between kids who play video games and who don't, and the aggressive behavior that erupted from that. Technology has changed a lot, and the content especially has too. The content is especially important because if there are more violent video games in the media, then the kids will start to play all of that more. There used to not be as much, but now there is. Marketing has changed a lot too because video games were spread by word of mouth and by magazine articles, but now every age range is targeted and everyone can have access to video games and ads such as, So video games that portray real events, I did some research and there is a video game that is a school shooting game. You can literally go into a school and you can pretend to be a shooter and you have the ability to commit suicide at the end of each level. So kids who respond to violent video games, a study done in an article on CNN, kids will either imitate this behavior and they think that the world is hostile, so they think that violence and aggression are the ways to deal with that, or they become numb to the violence and they think that it just doesn't exist. So kids used to do reading so much more, which requires attention, imagination, and memory. But with technology now, that only requires visual stimulation and doesn't require as much attention. This has little to no need for imagination. So the pros of electronics. There are a lot of cons, but there are pros too. So kids who play video games, there were studies done that show that they have increased perception, quick reaction time, and a working memory. Another pro is here at St. Mary's. We use technology so much, and I can't imagine going back to paper and pen because technology is so integrated into our programs and it's extremely useful to all of us. So an extremely important thing is to remember to monitor the time spent and the usage of technology. When we use technology, we need to make sure that it's for educational purposes mostly, and even though we can play video games with them, violent video games do not help people's learning. So the average 8 to 10-year-old spends nearly 8 hours per day with a variety of different media, and children and teenagers spend more than 11 hours per day. A lot of children don't have access to technology in school, so this is just them during the day and at home. So time spent, parents have such a big influence over this because they just hand kids electronics instead of using parenting moments. They just hand them the electronics and the electronics do the parenting for them. Children need to develop and be taught one-to-one. So educational games and book apps and math apps are all really great, but with content. But the goal is that they cannot be killing games. That creates development in the children's brains that does not make it good for them. So what can we do? We need to educate parents on technology, and we need to integrate good technology into learning. Learning with technology is extremely helpful, especially at school, but a lot of times violence can get in the way of that. We need to combat negativity with positivity and keep a balance between technology, education, and imaginative play. So many kids nowadays don't have the balance, and we need to make sure that they do. So, make sure to keep everything in moderation. We need to make sure that everyone has a balance between too much screen time and too much just by themselves, because technology is a good thing and it's so integrated into our daily lives that we can combine them and they can make a better today. Thank you.